again and welcome to the Laughter Crafter. It's really great to be with you again. Last week you may remember we had a go at doing a mosaic on a terracotta pot, and a few of you told me that you'd like to go and make one of these, so I hope that you do, and I hope that you put your pictures up on the channel so that we can all admire what you've made. This week I'm going to repurpose a bottle. I was given a bunch of bottles by my really good friend Alan Grover. He brought some over a while back. He gave me I think 6 bottles, and they're really big and fat and useful, and I decided this week to decorate one of them. So here it is. The raised bits are done with air dried clay and glued on, and then I've done some gold leaf, glued on some gold leaf on the top, and I've also rubbed in some sparkly powdery stuff and put some string around the top just to kind of finish it off. So what do you think? I'm going to demonstrate how you can make this, and here is the limerick that goes with this week's craft. A bottle adorned with some clay is, you could almost say, child's play. Slap some paint on and string, gold and sparkle for bling. This repurposing larks made my day. I love repurposing things. How about you? It's really good, isn't it? I mean, it's great to recycle, but repurposing gives something a new lease on life, and I'm all for that. So here is the joke that goes with today's craft. So a friend of mine had to give up his career because of fallen arches. And no, it wasn't anything to do with him being an athlete. He's an architect. And their arches are not meant to fall. Shout out to my good friend Tessa Ansell, who's also an architect. Hi Tessa. Anyway, let's get on with making this week's craft. So here are the things I believe that I'm going to need to make these decorated bottles. So here is my lovely big bottle. It's gorgeous, isn't it? And I want to thank Alan Grover for giving me this bottle. In fact, Alan gave me about 6 of these. They're nice big fat bottles. And I've been thinking for a while now about what I would do with these bottles. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to make a decorated bottle. So the first thing we're going to need to put on top of that bottle with PVA glue, white glue or wood glue, is some paper napkins. Now it doesn't matter that these have got a pattern on them because they're going to be painted once they're dry and the air dry clay is put on top. They're going to be painted with paint on top, so it doesn't matter. You could even use toilet paper. So that's that. Again, going to be brushed on with slightly watered down wood glue. Once the paper is on, we're going to take our friend the air dry clay and work with this and make some patterns and shapes, glue them directly onto that surface that has the paper napkins on the bottle. And that's going to be fun. You might remember using the air dry clay back in around about March when we did the air dry clay little sardines. That was good fun. So once the air dry clay pattern is dried onto the bottle, then we're going to, as I said before, we're going to paint on some water-based acrylic paint. It'll be all black. And then I've got these little colourful pots of powder. And I'm going to use this to highlight some of the areas on the bottle. Maybe the areas where the clay stands out on the bottle, or maybe in between, directly onto the surface of those napkins. We'll see. I haven't really come up with a definite idea for the design I'm putting on the bottle yet, but I'll probably do that. Back to the clay for a second. Perhaps I'm going to use a toothpick to make some little markings in the clay, or maybe a little sharp scalpel knife or a comb. I'll just grab whatever comes to hand in the moment. Let's see what I'm feeling. Okay, oh, you might wonder what the baby powder is here for. That is for when I'm handling the air dry clay. Sometimes it gets a little bit tacky and sticky on the surface that I'm working on or on my fingers, so I might just need to use a bit of talcum powder to stop that from happening. It will still stick well onto the surface of the bottle though. So there we go. That's what we're going to need to make this decorated bottle. So I've thought of a few more things that I'll probably need when I'm putting together this decorative pot. I'll need a brush for brushing on the paint, and for adding the different little powders I may just use my finger, or I may want to use these little cotton buds. And I've grabbed some rope, and I might put this around the neck of that jug. And if I do that, I might use PVA glue, or I might end up grabbing my glue gun, not sure. And when it's all finished, I'll put on a coat of clear varnish, and I'll spray that on. So there's a few other bits and pieces. Look, I may or may not use all these things, but I've got them here, and you can take note of them if you want to. So the surface of this bottle is clean and dry. I've watered down the PVA glue, the wood glue, about 3 parts of water to 7 parts of the glue. So it's quite a bit thinner than you would normally get it straight out of the container. So now I have got the 1-ply paper napkins. Usually paper napkins come 2-ply. You can just peel the backing off if that's the case, but these are just single ply. So I'm going to start by applying some of this glue directly onto the bottle, and I'm going to take it just down below the bottom edge as well. Tuck the glue, the paper underneath as I go. Okay, so just do one section at a time, and you notice that I'm going to actually allow this paper to stick on with little wrinkles showing. I want to have these on there. So a little bit of glue on top of the surface as well, which is a decoupage practice really. What you're doing there when you when you put the glue on the top surface of the paper as well as underneath the paper onto the surface of the bottle is you're giving even surface tension. So there we go, and again I'm just quite happy to have those wrinkles in there. In fact, I'm sort of making some if you have a look. And I'm just going to continue on doing this until the whole bottle's covered. Well, here's the bottle with the tissue paper all dry on it. See, it's got these gorgeous wrinkles in the tissue paper, which I just love. Now, in order for me to design a design on this, I want to actually be able to see what I'm designing. So I've decided I'm going to give just a really quick, thin coat of white paint on this. And that won't take long to dry. It's just water-based paint. And then, when it's dry, then when I pencil out a design, I'll be able to see it. So I'll carry on doing that. So I penciled in some marks on this bottle. And I'll make a start with the air dry clay. I've got a little mound of talcum powder just across here to my left. And if I'm finding that the clay is a bit tacky, I'll just dip my fingers in that talcum powder and yeah, so I'm going to start at the top near the neck. Actually, I'm not finding that it's too tacky. So I've got my little bottle of PVA glue at the ready, all ready to go in this. And I'm making 3 size little balls, which is what I've marked out here at the top of the bottle. So a little double do ya. The good thing about PVA glue, or wood glue, which it also is called, is that you can see it because it's white, but it dries clear. So that's really good. So just pop it on there. I'm not going to push it down just yet. I'll give it a little bit to get a bit tacky. And the largest one is just going to go there. So I'm just sitting them on there. I've got the paint and a pair of scissors propped under the edges of this bottle so that it shouldn't roll, hopefully. Alright, I'm going to take a little bit more of this air dried clay. It's just good to work with. It's not tacky. It's not sticking to my hand, so I'm just going to make sort of some sausages. And I'm not worrying about them being perfectly even. I'd be quite happy if they're a little bit wobbly and uneven actually. So, coming back with this PVA glue, just going over that line there, and I'm going to just lay that little sausage along where the glue is. Pinch it off with my thumb. The good thing about clay is that it's quite workable. And I'm going to go back to those 3 little dots and just press them down firmly like so. And I'm going to come back with this pen, and I think this pen is going to be nice for making some nice little marks, little circles. I also have a toothpick, so I'm going to grab that. You can come up with whatever ideas you have. But because it's quite warm in my house at the moment, I want to glue these pieces on to the bottle, then make the marks, rather than applying all the clay and then coming back to make the marks later, because it just might be that this clay starts to dry. So I want to be able to make those marks in it while it's still quite soft. Okay, so there we go, made a little start, and I'm going to carry on, and then when I'm editing I'll speed it up and you can watch it in fast motion. well, I think that's about it. I might do a little bit of tidying up with a toothpick. I might wait just a little while until the clay is just a bit drier. But in some places where there's cracking, I'll just come back with a slightly damp, maybe pinky finger, and just gently rub and see if I can get some of those cracks out. But you know what? If I can't, it's part of the charm. It's rustic, it's imperfect, and it's okay. What do you think? So here's the jug with all the clay dry. I've noticed that a few of the little pieces of clay have got cracks in them, which, you know, that can happen. I tried to keep the temperature fairly even in the house yesterday when I was doing this. But you know what? I don't go for perfection. I'm pretty happy with that overall. So now I'm just going to take my black acrylic paint and I'm going to start to paint the just around the rim at the bottom, and then I'm going to stand it up on this little plinth, if you like, so that I can paint the rest of it and not get paint all over this surface area. So let's get going with that. So here's the paint all dry on the bottle. I put some rope around the top rim of the bottle, glued it on with a glue gun. So I think that will hold it nicely. I'm just propping up this bottle with the paint on one side and a couple of little these on this side, just so it won't roll too much. So I'm going to experiment. I've taken the lids off some of these little pots of powder, sparkly little powder pots, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 colours here ready to go. I've got other colours in here as well. Yeah, but I think the ones that I've chosen are nice and bright. I've never actually used these, so this will be interesting. So I think I'm going to just use one of these and rub it on, and you can see it's kind of going onto the background of the bottle too, but that's okay. I'm just rubbing it on, and later on I'm going to come back with a soft cloth, and I am going to colour in all of the surface of the bottle, not just these raised bits that have got the clay. So I'm just going to experiment with some colour here. I think the idea, as I said, will be to come back later and rub back with a soft cloth and just leave little smudges of colour. So I've brushed off the excess of that glitter powder from the little powder pots, which just leaves a suggestion of colour, and I'm quite happy with that. I didn't really want lots and lots of colour left. I just really wanted a suggestion of some colours, and that's what we've got. And I like how this paper napkin that I used to put on the bottle is all wrinkled, and it gives the impression of a leather finish, I think, on the bottle, a leathery finish. So that's it really. I'm going to go outside and put on a light coat of varnish just to seal it. But otherwise, I'm quite happy with that. I think that that's finished. I don't know how well you can see that. But I really quite like it. It's taken a fairly ordinary brown jar and turned it into something a little bit different. So there you go. So I'm making a last minute executive decision here. I've decided to get my gold size and my gold leaf sheets and highlight all the top surfaces of the clay that I've added. I just think the whole thing needs a little bit more bling. So I've got a really old brush that I don't mind if it lays down its life to do this job. But even as I add on this gold size, you can see that it's accentuating all the little marks that I made in that clay. And I'm not brushing it on perfectly. It's not going to cover every tiny little nook and cranny of the clay surface. It is just going to kind of act as a highlight. Again, I don't go for perfection. So I'll just continue doing this, and in about 10 or 15 minutes we'll come back and add on the gold leaf. Well, we've done gold leaf work once before, but just to remind you, I always wear gloves. I don't handle the gold leaf without gloves on because it can oxidize with the skin oils. So I'm just going to dab it on, and I don't even care if I miss some bits. So I'm going to continue to do this, and I'll join you soon. So that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed watching me make this decorated pot. There's so many different things that you could do with a pot or a big jug or whatever you want to call it. Bottle, jug, pot, whatever. You could do so many different decorating styles on something like this. So why not grab something maybe from the op shop or repurpose something that you already have around the house and have a go at decorating it up like I have. And you can do it in whatever style you want. Repurposing is great, isn't it? So that's it for this week. I'm actually going overseas on a little holiday tomorrow, so there won't be a craft up on the channel next week, but I'll make up for it the week after. In the meantime, I hope you keep on laughing and keep on crafting. Bye.